All right, guys, what's up? We got the Week 12 recap and playoff scenario video here for you. Uh, I can't believe it. We only have one week left in the regular season. Unbelievable how fast this has gone. Now, I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to go through these games a lot quicker. I'm not going to click into even the screen, um, into the matchups because we have a lot to talk about the playoff scenarios. So with first game we're going to look at is 117.5 to 110. I win versus Hassan. This was a very important matchup. Me and him are neck and neck in points for that last playoff spot, the sixth spot. Um, and we are literally neck and neck. So the matchup, the win didn't matter much to me. Just getting 7 points ahead of him, just getting even a little bit more separation helped me a lot. So that's kind of what happened in that game. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Miller really might have been saving a season saving for me on the Monday night game for what they did. Um, this game was important because George lost to Bill. Um, this is important because George is now on the outside looking in, I believe, in the playoff picture, and he is essentially he's the opposite of me. He needs the wins because he's very low in points in comparison to the other playoff teams. So he needs to get in on wins. Any other year, he would be comfortably in the playoffs with 7-5, but this year with Fawad's new playoff scenarios or playoff format, he is on the outside looking in on it with a 7-5 record. Um, so that was a huge game that he lost. SN beat Mo, which was very big for him because he now slides into George's playoff spot, that fifth spot, and he is now in on wins. Like this is what we talked about last week, because he was most interesting because he could get in either way through points or through wins. He was on the outside looking in both ways, but he was close in both. So now he's in on wins. So all he has to do, essentially, I would assume, is win the next game he plays, and he should be in. We'll take a quick look at it. We'll take a quick look at that. Can't talk. Yates beats Kaleem. This game is important because Yates is closing in on that first round bye. Uh, Kaleem scored 138 points and he lost. I mean, that's just rough. Um, I scored 148 points last week in another league, and I lost that game. It was the same format as this, so I feel your pain, Kaleem. It was pretty rough. Kaleem is still in a playoff spot, and he should be in. We'll take another look at that. He should be considered almost a lock. I wouldn't say a full lock. Fawad beats Gunn. Fawad with 113. He essentially, I think, you can almost clinch him a first round bye. Um, Raheel took a little step back in the points race because he was kind of on my tail most of the year. I believe now he is a distant third. I mean, he could still obviously come back and take that spot from me because you can outscore someone by 40 points in a week. It's extremely doable. I'm not even sure if it's that much. We'll take a look. And we have AK beating JD, this makes AK 8-4, and he is on the outside looking in on a first round bye, but this win keeps him in the race. Um, now, let's take a look at the standings now, and we're going to take a look at the Week 13 matchups and how that how that sets everything up. But we'll take a look at the scenarios first. Um, let's sort this all by points. So we have the number one seed, obviously, is Fawad. I don't think that's going to change. Yates right now is the second seed, but that could change because AK is 8-4 and he's the third seed. So if AK wins and Yates loses, depending on the points, because that's the tiebreaker, he could slide in to that second spot for the first round bye. Let's take a look. Yates has 1512, 1512, and AK has 1464. So that's going to be really tough for him to take Yates' spot because Yates is actually the highest scoring team in the league. So it's almost safe to assume, unless AK just nukes it out of the park and Yates does not have a good week at all, which is possible because he lost Melvin Gordon for a little while. But it looks like your first two seeds are pretty much set with Fawad and Yates, with AK being the surefire third seed. But he could lose, go to 8-5, and one of these 7-5 teams could win. But I don't think that's possible because these 7-5 teams are all pretty distant in points. So I think for right now, you're seeing, no matter how everything plays out, you're seeing Fawad number 1 seed, Yates number 2, and AK number 3. Now it gets extremely interesting with 4, 5, and then 6. 4, 5 are still based on wins, and we have 3 7-5 teams for 2 spots. And we have Kaleem at 1365 and SN at 1316. So you have those. So you have Kaleem at the 4th spot, and you have SN at the 5th spot, and that can be that's pretty distant as well. So even if Kaleem loses at 7-6, let me try to do the math here. He should be in no matter what, because he would, even if he fell out of the top 5 in wins, he would have more points than me. He would kind of fall into the points race. So those are kind of your 5 playoff teams right there as of right now. The 6th spot is based purely off of points, and that would be me, who has 1341 in the points race. Hassan is 2nd at 1316. I have a 25-point lead. If I could do math correctly, yes, 25-point lead. That can easily turn around this week. And Raheel is right up the rear, 3rd place. Could still come back. He is 33 points behind, around that, 33. So he could even overtake. But it is a difficult climb, though, because he has to climb over 2 people. Hassan only has to climb over me. Those are your 6 teams. Now, let's take a look. Keeping these scenarios in mind, let's try to take a look. I'm trying to do this all in my head, so bear with me. This might not be as smooth. Let's just take a look at the matchups now. Right off the gate, Kaleem versus me. Now, this is extremely important for both teams. Now, I obviously have to score a lot because I'm in the points race. The win doesn't mean nothing to me. I could score 150 and lose, and I'll be extremely happy. I can win with 90 points and be unhappy because Hassan scores 120 and then he beats me. So the win doesn't mean anything. Kaleem, the win means a lot, because that would just secure him a playoff spot based on wins. That would give him a higher playoff seed. And it almost would be better. Now, I'm not going to do this because I need to score a lot of points, but it would almost be better if he beats me, because for my sake, because if he beats me, that keeps him in the playoff in the wins race for the top 5 seeds. And if I beat him and a couple, like if George wins versus JD, which is likely, and if SN beats Hassan, if I beat him, he is out of the wins, but he has more points than I do by at least 25. So that could put him strictly in the playoff picture based off of points. If this makes any sense. So basically, what I want to do, I need to keep George in the thick of things in the standings, in the playoff race, in the points race. Let's take another look, because George only has 1237. All right, That's that's like the second lowest in the league. It's the third lowest in the league to Mo and JD. So I need to make sure he stays in on wins. Or no, sorry. I need to make sure he is in the points race. I need George out of those top five spots. Um, so I know it's a little confusing, but a lot of things could change. Um, Essentially based on those 7 and 5 teams. Kaleem, George, and SN, it it's imperative for each of those teams to win. Um, and luckily for all these guys, they are record wise better than the other team. Um, Now, this SN and Hassan, that's going to be a great game because SN really needs to win and Hassan really needs the points. Same thing with me and Kaleem. Those are the two games to really look out for here. Gun is still in the thick of things with the points race. And AK and Fawad are playing against each other, two of the top 3 teams in the league. And if Fawad loses, goes to 10-3, and Yates wins to go to 10-3, it probably would mean that Yates overtakes that number 1 seed from Fawad, who's basically had the entire year. And Yates would have the number 1 seed. Now, both of these teams are going to have the first round bye. It really doesn't matter as much. I mean, the matches would change a little bit down the line, but that's also something that could change. But the real story here is these 3 games on the left. Kaleem versus me. Um, and I need Kaleem to stay in the wins. I need George to stay out. I need him to lose, and which is weird because I'm playing Kaleem and I still need to score a lot of points. That's an extremely interesting situation. Essentially, my best case scenario in reality is that I score a lot of points, and I score a lot of points, but I still lose. So a lot of this also has, SZ still needs to win, staying on wins, because in points he's still kind of behind. And George absolutely needs this win versus JD. If he loses, he's essentially out of the playoffs. All right, I think that's everything. Yeah, I hope I explained that correctly, or a way you guys can understand. I mean, I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm just saying my explanation might have been bad. But a lot of it has to do with Kaleem. These 7-5 teams, what they do. Because as of right now, Kaleem is in and SN is win, and if they both win this week, they will be in the playoffs. It doesn't matter what George does, because George even wins, but these other two 7-5 teams win out. They're going to the playoffs regardless, because George is not even close in points. And so there you go. So that's it. This is going to be extremely interesting. It's going to be an intense Saturday, or not Sunday. A lot of people are looking at different things. I mean, a lot of people are looking for points. Some people are looking for wins. So some are looking for points, a lot of points, and still looking for the loss, which is unbelievable. You never would have thought that in a fantasy football league, but there you go. Unbelievable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of new format. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the day and good luck for the last week of the regular season. Should be a lot of fun.